I'm glad you got the chance to meet my family and my son Michael. My son Michael was the inspiration for trying to develop a simplified method of processing words. I knew with my son Michael that processing words was extremely critical. So I wanted to study and learn about as much about word processing as possible. First, I took a look at hearing. First of all, we got to decide what is hearing. Well, hearing is a response to sound waves or pressure waves in the environment. Now, we have to decide what is the hearing environment. For us today, hearing is about processing words. As a physician and as somebody who went to college and to med school and who has to interact with the other people, the way I interact is in word processing. I have to not just develop word processing, the ability to understand words, but I also have to be able to read social situations as well as know all the other things that my mind has to do. Now that sound environment is very different from the ancient environment of old caveman. When there was a caveman, he had to worry about being attacked by creatures. And half the time, it was dark. So if a man was in the dark, if a caveman was in the dark, he would need to know the direction of the bear or the wildcat that might be attacking him. My life is not this way today. I don't get attacked by anybody. If you look at me many times during the day, I'll have a phone to one ear. And what I'm doing is I'm analyzing the words that are coming in over the phone. I may be listening to a headphone or earpiece. Modern people, like myself, use one ear to analyze speech. Now using two ears comes in great advantage if you're trying to notice the direction that an object is coming at you from. There is something called the interaural sound time delay, and that is the time difference between a sound hitting the left ear and the right ear. For instance, if a bear roars at me from this side, the sound will hit my right ear before it hits my left ear. My brain analyzes both my right-sided ear signal and my left-sided ear signal, and it can calculate that there is a time difference that makes me turn toward the bear that is going to attack me. Now, in real life, what I do most of the time is I'm talking on the phone. It doesn't matter whether I hold the phone to the left ear or to the right ear. My life doesn't need to analyze the direction from which sounds come. Now, there is a time when I'm at the movie theater, if you hear surround sound, and in surround sound, it's very entertaining to know whether the action's coming from the front or the back. It's a part of entertainment. But I don't live my life based on the information I get from stereo sound. I'm only entertained by it. So hearing, for me, is much different from hearing from caveman. Caveman needed two ears. I can get by with just one. Now, we have to look at the science of word processing. Word processing is one of the most complicated things the human mind or any animal mind can do. To look at how complicated it is, we can look at computer models. If you look at the modern voice recognition systems, be they DragonSpeak or whatever else, they take a large amount of processor capacity, usually a 2 megahertz processor. They take up to 2 gigabytes of RAM. And if you'll look at all modern word processing systems, they use only one microphone. That's right, one microphone. That is very similar to monaural hearing, which uses one ear to hear. You don't need two ears for a word processing system. All computer-based systems use only one microphone or one ear to listen. If you look at how complicated word processing is, you'd understand quickly that if your word processor tried to listen with two ears and analyze two auditory signals, or even overlap those like your brain does to determine directionality, there is no modern computer system that can handle that much information. Your brain is truly a work of great art. It is able to beat out the laptop voice recognition systems. For instance, if you use DragonSpeak, you need to eliminate most of the background noise. it'll oftentimes interfere with the interpretation of the words. However, your mind can hear all kinds of background noise on the phone and still make out what the person's saying. This is amazing. Your mind beating a modern laptop computer. But look, humans are one of the only animals that can do it. No other animal on the planet can do word processing. Now, if we look at different animal models, well,
okay.
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, and action.
The reason I became interested in word processing was because of my son Michael, who had a delay in processing words. Now, with autistic children, those that do manage to gain speech will oftentimes become what's called Asperger's. Now, I have a kind of unique interpretation on Asperger's disease. When you see an Asperger's